Today we've got the top 10 counties' biggest increase in total raw votes in 2024. So this is going to combine the number of votes for Trump, for Harris, as well as the third-party candidates and the write-ins. So here's where Chase Oliver and Jill Stein might have a little bit of an impact. So these are not the percentages, these are the raw votes. We could take a look at the biggest declines in the future, but today it's going to be about the gains. So let's go through these one at a time. We're going to start with number 10. This is going to be in Texas. This is Williamson County. And like with most of these counties, these are going to be largely suburban. That means they avoid the big drop-offs in the urban counties, but there's still enough people living there that there can be an overall gain. So this county is located just north of Travis County, which has Austin. It's a very, very blue county. If you aren't familiar with that location, it's highlighted here on the map on the right. Now, I don't want to spend a lot of time going over the individual demographics on these counties. Feel free to take a look at the racial and the ethnic breakdown, as well as the household income and education. But for this, I'm going to just focus on the population size. You can see the population has exploded here over the past 50 years. It was under 50,000 in 1970, but now it's closing in on 700K. So massive amount of growth here. This is an important county politically. Let's go down here and take a look at the election results. Now, this was mostly a red county up until the past decade. Then it got down to single digits for Trump in 2016. And Biden actually narrowly flipped it in 2020. That was a surprise. But in 2024, Trump flipped it back. He won it by about 2.5. Now, this video is all about the raw votes. So if you add up the votes from 2020 from Trump, Biden, and the third parties and the write-ins, and if you compare the same thing to the raw votes in 2024, that's an increase of over 19,000 votes in total. So it's not really about who won the county. And Harris also gained in raw votes, but Trump gained a whole lot more. That's why this time Harris lost it and Trump won it. So with the big increase in population here, this county is number 10 for the biggest number of votes gained. Next, number 9 is going to be in Wisconsin. This is Dane County. Now, this is a county that was in one of my previous videos. This has the capital of Madison, and it's located in the south central part of the state. Now for this, let's take a look at the population size. It's another county with steady population growth. Decade after decade, it's gone up double digits, and now it's sitting at about 575,000. It's a big county in terms of land. It's also higher educated. There's also going to be urban, suburban, and even a little bit of rural vote here. But let's look at the presidential vote. This one overwhelmingly went for Harris. She did do a little bit worse than Biden. Trump did a little bit better than he did in 2020. But if you add up the number of votes cast in 2024, both Harris and Trump made similar gains, but in total, it's a little over 21,000 votes in total compared to 2020. So that clocks in at number 9. Let's go to number 8. In Florida, this is going to be St. Johns County. This is in the northeast part of the state. It's just under the Jacksonville area. So again, it's going to have some suburban character. Let's go down here and take a look at the population. There's a huge explosion here. It's about 10 times what it was back in 1970, where it was at 30,000. Now it's over 300,000. So a ton of growth here. What about in the election? Well, Trump won this county by more than 30 points. But in recent decades, it's also been a pretty red county. You can see Harris won up here about 3,000 votes, but Trump went up almost 18,000. Once you add that up and factor in the third-party vote, this was only about 250 more than Dane County, number 9. Let's keep going. Let's go to number 7. This is in North Carolina, and this is Wake County. Now, this is actually the most populous county in the state, recently passing Mecklenburg. It's got the state capital of Raleigh, and it's kind of located here in the middle of the state if you're unfamiliar. But let's go down here and take a look at the population. It's another county with a massive amount of growth. Going back the last 5 decades, it's doubled and then doubled yet again. So this is a highly important county. And again, feel free to take a look at any of the demographics you'd like. But I'm going to go down here and look at the election results. Now, this is an easy county for Harris. She got 61.6. But this is about the raw number of votes. You can see that both Harris and Trump gained a similar amount compared to 2020. Once you add all that up, it's about a 21,750 vote increase, and that's good enough for number 7. Next, number 6, we're going to go into the Southwest. We've got Arizona and Pinal County. Not a ton of counties in Arizona. There's a lot of land here, but it's located here. It's the 3rd most populous county. Let's go down here and take a look at the population. Look at this. Between 2000 and 2010, the population here doubled. Since then, it's gone up double digits. So it's another county with an exploding population. But how about in the election? Trump won it by 22 points. But in terms of the raw vote, Harris went up only about 5,500. Trump went up almost 20,000. So if you combine that with the third parties, this was a little bit under a 25,000 net net vote gain. So that's good enough for number 6. For number 5, we're going to go back to Texas. Here's Collin County. It's in the northeastern part of the state. It's just outside of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So there's a similar theme here. There's going to be a lot of population growth. Let's go down here and take a look at it. Back in 2000, it was under 500,000. Less than 25 years later, it's almost 1.2 million. So it's clear there's another population boom here. And how does that translate into the raw votes in the election? Well, if we go down here, Trump won the county by about 11 points. But this is a county that Harris actually declined in. She went from 230 to 222. So that doesn't help this county in terms of gaining raw votes. However, that's where Trump comes in. He went from 252,000 up to 279,500. And take a look at the third party vote. It went from 8,900 to 16,000. So if you add up the total vote in this county, compared to 2020, it increased over 25,000. And that means it was the 5th biggest gain. Let's go to number 4. We're going to go to South Carolina. This is going to be right on the ocean. This is Horry County. So it sits here right along the coast. But what about the population? It's another one that shot way up. It was only at about 100,000 back in 1980. Now it's sitting at almost 400,000. So a lot of growth over a few decades. So we're going to see some more vote increase in the election. But let's take a look at it. We've got Trump winning at almost 69%. But take a look at the raw votes. Biden got 59,000 in 2020. Harris only bumped it up to 62,000. Trump went from 118 to 141. If you add it all up, it's going to be an increase of over 26,000 in total. So that is number 4. How about number 3? We're going to go right back into Texas. This is going to be Denton County. And this is right next to Collin County, which is also just above Dallas. I'm sure you can already predict here there's going to be a lot of population growth. And these aren't just double-digit increases. These are decade-over-decade increases of sometimes more than 50%. In 1970, it was only 75,000. Now it's over 1 million. So a huge amount of growth here. I would expect there to be a lot of votes changing in the election. Trump won this county by double digits. Harris gained a little under 3,000 votes here. Trump went up about 28,000. If you combine that with all the other votes, this county increased by more than 31,000 in total. We've got 2 left, and for number 2, we're going to stay in the same state, but we're going to go to the Houston area. This is Montgomery County, just north of Harris County. If you're unfamiliar, it's located right here. The description of this county on Wikipedia also mentions the population growth over recent decades. But let's go down here. We can confirm that going back to 1970, it was under 50,000. Now it's over 700,000. So in case it was unclear before watching this video, Texas has gained a lot of people over the decades. And you can see these are some of the counties where a lot of people have moved. But what about in the election? Trump won it with more than 72%. That's a huge landslide, but what about the raw votes? Harris actually gained about 8,000. So for the purposes of this video, that's going to help. Trump also gained about 28,000. The third party vote here actually declined a little bit, but once you add everything up, it's about a 35,700 vote increase from 2020. So what about number 1? Which county had the biggest vote increase? For this, it's going to be a new state. It's going to be out west. It's going to be in Nevada, and it's Clark County. This county a lot of people are familiar with. It has Las Vegas. It has by far the majority of the state's population. So if you live in this state, there's a great chance it's actually in this county. Let's take a look at the population growth. Well, it may have slowed down here just a little bit over the past decade, but it's very significant here. It's over 2.3 million. It's also a very pivotal county when it comes to elections. We go down here and take a look at those results. We can see that Trump did not win this county. Harris won it by about 2.5 to 3 points, and it's been blue since back in 1992. But in 24, the margin was a lot narrower. However, when it comes to raw votes, you can see that Harris actually declined compared to Biden in 2020. It wasn't by a ton, but that is a clear drop-off. Trump, on the other hand, went up huge time. He's looking at more than 62,000 votes. That's going to be responsible for most of this county's gains. And once you add everything up, it's about a 58,700 vote increase from 2020. And that puts it at number 1. So if we wind it down here, we can go back to the county map. So we've got 4 of them in Texas, 1 in each of the Carolinas, 1 down in Florida, 1 in Wisconsin, and then we've got 1 in Nevada and Arizona. So they're kind of spread out all over the place. But the commonality amongst all 10 is there's been massive population growth, and they're mostly suburban in nature. These are not the heavy urban counties, but most of them are located in the vicinity. Now some of them, like Clark County, do have a significant city within them, but they're also going to encapsulate all that suburban vote, including some of the rural. Now as we've seen in some of the other videos I've done on this, the most noteworthy demographic shift was with Hispanic voters, and that's certainly going to apply to Clark County. That's why Trump actually came pretty close to winning it outright. So you could always look more into the demographics. And I don't think on its own it's necessarily significant that these counties had the biggest net vote gains, but it does go to show you where a lot of people have moved. And even though some of these are very blue, like Wake and Dane County, others are very red and others are going to be competitive. I think it mostly highlights counties that have undergone some changes, and that's going to include demographically as well as politically. So maybe not all of them, but some of them are going to be places to definitely keep your eye on in terms of politics and to see what happens with the election results. But that's it. These are the 10 biggest county vote gains. We can take a look at the biggest drops in the future. But for now, let me know in the comments. What do you think about any of these 10 counties? Does it make sense why these counties had the biggest increases? How much of it do you think is about demographics? Do you live in or near any of these counties? Let me know down below on your way out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join if you'd like to support the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.